People often associate Munich with a few things: beer gardens, Oktoberfest, traditional German clothing, and football. But while this is actually true, there is much more to Munich than just those stereotypes. And if you're visiting the city and you only have one day to see it, the question is, what should you see and where should you go? We came to Munich to find out, so we have one day to explore the city. This is Marienplatz, and it's the center of Munich. And it has been the center of the city since the 12th century. The building behind me is the City Hall, and it's this beautiful 19th century Gothic building. But the cool thing about it is that there is a huge clock on the facade with some figures that dance every day around 11 and 12. So you can see a little show if you're here around that time. That's why this is a good place to start your tour. And around this area is the Old Town, which is full of historic buildings, cobbled streets, cafes, shops. It's a very picturesque area of the city. Here in the Old Town, there's a lot of beautiful old buildings. They look very medieval, some of them, but in reality, these buildings, even though they're in the Old Town and look old, they're not actually that old, because most of them were actually completely destroyed during World War II and they were reconstructed after that. So even though a lot of them actually look medieval, they're maybe like 60, 70 years old. But still, even though they are reconstructions, this area of the city feels very old and beautiful and unique. It's almost like a fairy tale part of the city. Just around the corner from Marienplatz is this place. It's called Viktualienmarkt, and it's a market that has been here since the 1800s. It started out as a farmer's market, and nowadays it's more structured. There are some restaurants and food stalls here. You can also find fresh produce. There are butchers, flower shops, but there's a lot of different street food here. So if you want to try traditional food from this region of Munich, this is a great place to come for a quick bite.
So we went to the Hofbräuhaus, to the famous brewery, to grab some food and drinks. It's an iconic place here in the city center of Munich. And if you look at the Google reviews, it has more than 100,000 of reviews. So it's really a good place to try some local dishes. So I decided to try the Weiss beer, which is like wheat beer, which has a really rich flavor with a lot of fruity, like
a full body of beer.
Yeah, it's good, but it's kind of heavy. But it's one of my favorite ones. And to eat, I decided to try Weisswurst. It's a white sausage here, which is served in some sort of like a liquid. And usually people eat it together with bratzel and the mustard, the sweet one.
And I got Pils, which is like their classic one. This one is one of the most famous beers of Oktoberfest. This is half a liter, but they usually serve 1 liter glasses. And Käsespätzle, it's noodles with cheese and onions. And this brewery has been here for centuries, since the 16th century. So that's why it's super traditional. So cheers.
For a lot of people, the Weisswurst, what I order, is common Bavarian breakfast, and it's normal here on the weekend, for example, to have it as a breakfast with a glass of beer.
We actually saw a bunch of people eating this sausage in the morning while we were walking around the city center. It's kind of a different breakfast from the breakfast that I'm used to. So this here, they have these beer glasses, these really big traditional ones, and these are for people who are like patrons here. They pay to keep their glasses here, and then they use it, and then they can wash them in the sink here. It's really cool. This building is the Munich Residence, and it's one of the largest palaces in Europe in a large city. And the fun thing about this place is that it was built over generations, and it started out small and it grew over centuries. So a lot of the building is actually different styles. It doesn't really look like it's all one cohesive building, and we will see some more parts of the building soon. But this one is very beautiful. Let's see the rest. This is another side of the palace, and you can see it's completely different from the one we just saw. And there are several different sections. They're even more different than this one. But the cool thing is that you can visit the residence if you want to, and you have to pay. Nowadays it's a museum. But outside there is a beautiful, huge garden which is free, and you can come just hang out, listen to some musicians. They have some little cafes here. It's just a really nice place to chill a bit. This is the English Garden, which is actually one of the biggest city parks in the world. It's even bigger than Central Park, which is famous for being a huge park in the middle of a city. And this park is called the English Garden because it was created in the 18th century, modeled after English gardens, which was different from French gardens, which was the popular style at the time, with very symmetrical landscape and paths. And English gardens were more wild, sort of modeled to look like a forest almost, something that doesn't really look like it was thought out. It's just natural. And this is actually what it still feels like today. There are some parts of the park where it kind of feels like you're in the middle of a forest, which is very different from the vibe in the city center. Even though we're still in the middle of Munich, it doesn't feel like it. It's very quiet and peaceful here. You can see a lot of locals riding their bikes, playing football, just laying on the grass and chilling. And there's actually something very unique about this park, which we will see in a second. unique things about Munich is that even though the city is very far from the sea or the ocean, there is a place here where people come to surf. We are at the edge of the English Garden, and the river goes through a narrow channel right behind me, which forms these very strong waves that don't stop ever. So people line up, the local surfers on either side of the river, waiting for their turn, and they surf in the middle of the city. I think that's just so unexpected and unique about Munich. Munich is a huge city, and one day is definitely not enough to see everything the city has to offer. There are so many places we wanted to visit, but we didn't have time to. But one day is already enough to start to get a feel of this city. So if you only have one day here, then that's definitely worth a visit. And if you like this video, make sure to subscribe for more content like this. See you in the next time.